What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Toon Room. Today we're going to be talking about quite the controversial subject, the Digital Circus movie. That's right. The rumors are true. This was floating around online a while ago. The Digital Circus movie is real. Not really movie. Essentially what it is select screenings around the US and other countries as well that contain episode 8 back to back with the episode 9 finale. It's about an hour and a half in total, and it is a select theater event. Really kind of crazy, but if you guys like this kind of content, please give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button if you want to see more cartoon related content. So jumping right into it, we're going to look at this is kind of from the man himself, actually from the CEO, Kevin. This just came out about a day ago. He says, "Hello everyone, this is Kevin, the CEO of Glitch. I wanted to jump in and talk directly about the theatrical release of the Digital Circus finale, and it being 2 weeks before its YouTube release." So that is correct. I believe June 19th is when the episode 9 finale, of course, of the amazing Digital Circus drops on YouTube, and 2 weeks prior to that now, in early June, it will be dropping at the select theaters for the movie style event. And he says the reason we're pushing for all this is because this one event has the potential to change how the entire industry views indie animation. That part is in bold. Obviously that is pretty important. That's a pretty bold statement, literally, not just bold text, but this could be monumental. I don't think this has ever been done, to my knowledge at least, that you have had a indie animation studio that has taken the world by storm. I mean, it is just crazy amount of views. I think 80 million views on the last episode in about 3 weeks on episode 8. And I think the trailer for episode 9 is sitting at 17 million views in the first 2 or 3 days. Really insane numbers when you think about it. So I don't think, to my knowledge, now correct me if I'm wrong down below, that you've had a indie animation studio be able to do something like this, to really have like huge box office numbers at the theatrical releases, and how quick some of them booked up. We'll get to that in a second after we finish up Kevin's message here, but to his point, this is kind of unheard of. It's unprecedented that you could get somebody start off making cartoons on YouTube and get to this level of fame and popularity. It's really kind of crazy. So Kevin continues, "If this works, if we get a YouTube animated series into thousands of theaters globally, it opens the door not just for us, but for many creators, many projects, and the future of original creator-led storytelling." Now, that is really kind of interesting. I'm coming at this in sort of a biased way. If you guys haven't seen already, I do actually make original cartoons and animations on my channel. So of course I'm going to be biased in that I am rooting for people like Glitch. They are still technically indie, but they become so massive and, huge, wildly successful at this point. But creator-led storytelling, the guys that aren't part of these huge multinational corporations where you're answering to a bunch of suits, and you have to answer to shareholders. I'm talking about not these, Disneys or Amazons or Warner Brothers, Paramount, not these massive multi-billion-dollar corporations, but creators that started off with an idea, wanted to tell the story the way they want to tell it, and are engaged with the fans, and they're just putting out good storytelling. There's no real politics behind it. There's no real anything behind it. They're just telling it their way, the way they want to tell it. A lot of times with a lot of good content out there, you could have a really good story or movie or series, whatever it is. Then you get the suits that aren't writers, but the business guys that are writing the checks say, "Hey, I've got some notes. We're going to change this, we're going to change this, we're going to change that." And then the movie that you get that actually comes out is not nearly as good as it would have been originally if you just let the creators do their thing. But enough of my rant. Getting back to Kevin here. He says this opens the door not just for us, but for many creators, many projects, and the future of original creator-led storytelling. To be blunt, getting to this point has been a massive uphill battle. The traditional film industry has never really done something like this before at a global scale. That's what I was saying before. Having indie creators release to theaters across the country and at this point the world is like unheard of. This is like a big deal. He says, like a lot of the bets we've taken over the last 8 years of running Glitch, it takes a bit of risk to truly push into some new territory, but we really believe it's worth it. That's another thing I agree on. I mean, in life, you got to take that plunge. You got to take that risk sometimes. You got to jump into that cold pool and, take that plunge in order to get out of your comfort zone, basically, to accomplish something great. I agree with that too. He says the 2-week gap came with a lot of back and forth. Theaters were originally asking for a minimum of a month. I pushed hard to get it down to just 1 week or less, but they weren't willing to budge that far. 2 weeks was where we finally landed, and even that was apparently unheard of, for quotes, for them. So yeah, I mean, we'll get to the controversial part of this at the end. But Kevin was going to bat for him. He wanted to do this. I understand why he wanted to do this. That could be huge. A lot of people would like that experience of being able to go see it on the big screen. But at the same time, he wanted to push the window to the least amount possible for spoilers and things like that. People that couldn't make it to the theater, all that kind of stuff. He says, I get that it's not ideal for everyone, but I genuinely hear the frustration. But if this works, it changes the game for us and for a lot of other independent creators down the line. I also hear those of you who are frustrated because there isn't a theater near you. We are working around the clock to fix that. We're currently in active talks with several theater chains in many countries around the world. We're pushing for more screenings and more locations every single day. Also, we really want to get into theaters in our home, Australia. For those of you who don't know, Glitch Productions started and the founders are from Australia. Trust me, we do. We're just waiting for someone to respond to us. For those of you who have been respectfully reaching out to your local cinemas, thank you. It is actually working. Those emails are the best leverage we have to show theaters that there is a massive audience waiting for this. We're doing everything in our power to make this as accessible as possible, while still trying to move the needle for indie animation as a whole. Thanks for sticking with us, Kevin. Once again, Kevin is the CEO of Glitch, which is producing an amazing digital circus and a whole bunch of other great shows. Personally, I need to catch up on some of the other ones. I'm mostly just watching digital circus on my end, but this is kind of quite the crazy thing. Again, I don't know whether it was leaks, but I remember hearing back and forth rumors of this probably for the last couple months now, if not longer, that this was going to be a thing. The movie finale special in select screenings, basically back-to-back episode 7 and episode 9, about an hour and a half in total at local movie theaters. Now, how do I feel about this? Obviously, me personally, I don't go to the movies very often just because we all have a bunch of streaming platforms now. There's a lot of great content on YouTube, which is free, Tubi, which is free with ads. Highly recommend Tubi. They have a lot of great classic cartoons on there that I grew up with from the late 90s and early 2000s era. But this is obviously not ideal for everyone because let's be honest with ourselves. Let's be real. The economy is not great right now. Food is really expensive and rent. Gas prices have been skyrocketing. And not everyone can afford to go out to their local theater to see this. I understand that. Obviously, YouTube is free with ads unless you have premium or something. So that's not going to work for everyone on an economic standpoint. That being said, even if you could shell out the money for some tickets, not everyone has a theater showing it close by to them. That's another issue which Kevin addresses here in his message to everyone. Now, here's a really crazy thing with this phenomenon, no matter how you feel about it. I saw this on Friday, just a couple days ago. We're shooting this in early April. So I saw this on Friday. And when it just first was announced, it was announced New York time, Eastern Standard Time, Friday at like 12 o'clock around lunchtime or something like that. So I text my buddy that's a big fan of it. I send him a screenshot. I'm like, hey, dude, look at this. It's crazy. Then I had to go to the DMV for a couple hours, whatever, on my break. So I'm at the DMV and my buddy texts me back. He's like, dude, there's one playing not that far from us. Are you down? I'm like, hey, yeah, sure, man. You got the tickets. I'll get dinner, whatever. We'll work it out. And basically, after I texted him about the showing, he got the tickets and it was sold out completely, like completely sold out in our local theater. So in under an hour, the showing was like completely gone. Poof. I'm like, wow, dude, that's crazy. I was stuck at the DMV. I would not have even been able, by the time I was able to get the tickets, they'd probably be all gone, is basically what I'm saying. I think he said the theater he got them, it was my local, not really local, my college town, which is about 30 minutes away from where I'm at now. So not too far, but he got the tickets. Thankful for that. Shout out to you, bro, if you're watching, but that'll be fun to check it out. Now, the elephant in the room is spoilers for the film. Now, if I do a video on it after watching it, which I definitely will at some point, as I'm sure hundreds of other people will, I'm going to make it very clear to not put anything in the thumbnail, in the description, before I lead in, put a really big clear, hey, stop watching after this. If you want no spoilers, maybe do a second version without spoilers if people still want something. But yeah, elephant in the room is the spoiler component. Now, not everyone's so nice. People are probably going to be, unfortunately, ruining it for other people. I hope that's not the case, but that's kind of the main thing. Now, 2 weeks is 2 weeks. If you could just stay off the internet, kind of duck and cover, try and avoid spoilers, but I hope that people try and be considerate. I know I'm going to. I'm fortunate enough that my buddy got the tickets. I will be checking out that showing, but for those that can't, for whatever reason, nobody's business. Everyone's situation is different. Yeah, I will try my best to keep it spoiler free, but I think it is cool that you have the option to do this kind of thing. Like I said, I don't go to the movies a lot anymore, just because there's so much content out there. I'll only go if it's a franchise or a film I'm like really jazzed about. If it's like, wow, this is like 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10, a movie I really want to see, then I'll check it out. But I'll see maybe one movie a year, if maybe less, maybe one movie every couple of years. I think since 2020 to now, I've gone a lot less often just because I was used to not going as much. So anyway, what do you guys think of that? It is really kind of a crazy situation. I do think that as a fellow, well, I'm a very much, small independent creator, but a guy that loves making cartoons and art. I'm so happy for Goose and for Glitch and for all the artists involved. This is like an artist's dream to be able to come up with your idea, take your creation, you have all these fans, and then you're able to have it as like a box office relief in theaters. You don't have to go to Fox, you don't have to go to Searchlight, you don't have to go to these big, huge companies and deal with all of that. You could basically just create your own story and release it. And that's the thing too, if there is a demand for this, which there absolutely is, these companies will, the movie theater chains and all that kind of stuff, they want to make money. So if they see, wow, tickets are selling out, they will do more things like this. And I think that's great. I mean, to Kevin's point, this is a really great opportunity for Glitch and potentially other indie creators down the line. Really kind of exciting. It's motivating to people to make their own content, saying, hey, it's not impossible. I'm not saying it's easy and it's really hard to do and a lot of work, but that is a possibility that if you create your content, get a big enough fan base and you stick with it, you could have a theatrical release on your own, which is so cool. Just hats off to them. Really well deserved. It's a great franchise, and hats off to the animators too, and the writers and everybody that makes it possible. But those are my thoughts on it. I think it's a great option. The biggest thing, people should be respectful, keep it lock and key, understand that not everyone can afford to go or can get to go if they happen to, say the nearest showing's like 500 miles away. I'm a big fan, but I don't know if my nearest showing is like a half hour away. So, here in New York, there's some options for that. But what do you guys think? I think it's really cool. I get why it's controversial. I think people need to keep the spoilers to themselves. It will still be on YouTube in a couple weeks. I'm definitely going to be watching it again. I'll probably watch it in the theaters with my buddy, and then, the TV with my wife, watch it on YouTube, catch up with her. But what do you guys think? This is definitely a huge opportunity. I'm happy for Kevin and the Glitch team. I'm happy for Goose. I'm happy for all of them. And I understand the frustration for the folks that can't make it, because obviously not everybody can make it. So that's about it on this one, guys. I will definitely be releasing a spoiler warning eventually when I do put up a review, when I see it in a couple months, and maybe make a spoiler-free version as well for folks that kind of want to taste but don't want too much, spoilage there. So if you guys like this kind of content, don't forget, you can give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe, comment. How do you guys feel about it? It's been quite the hot topic issue. I'm kind of, I see both sides of the issue, but at the end of the day, especially after reading Kevin's note, it is a huge opportunity for them. You got to be happy for them, and a lot of fans will, myself included, me and my best friend will be happy to check it out. So if you guys haven't already, please consider checking out some of my own cartoons. They're kind of like a classic 90s style animation, and the real crux of the issue is the bond about a girl and her two dogs. Personally, I have a dog and I love my dog so much, so there's a lot of other influences as well with some 90s cartoons, but I have a lot of fun making that. It was actually based on my two real life dogs I had as a kid growing up. Anyway, thank you for checking out if you guys made it to the end of the video. Like I said, congrats to Glitch and the team. What do you guys think down below? Would love to see it. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time.